set for a UPI-style revolution in e-commerce? Let's find out. Welcome to TUI Business Bytes. Imagine a network that could possibly allow you to access Amazon, Flipkart, Zomato, Swiggy, Blinkit, or even your favorite neighborhood kirana store all in one place. Yes, that's right. Welcome to ONDC, or the Open Network for Digital Commerce. It's even being called the UPI of e-commerce. To understand this new digital revolution, we have with us T. Koshi. He's the MD and CEO of ONDC. So welcome to the show, sir. Sir, my first question to you is that, ONDC is actually being called the UPI of e-commerce. Can you break it down for us in layman terms? If I have a Swiggy, I have a Zomato or a Flipkart and an Amazon, how is ONDC planning to make these popular apps available to me on one network?
So the first point that I want to make clear for you is that this is not a platform, it's a network. And the network doesn't mean only the current players in the market, could be anybody. So what it attempts to do is that if you are a merchant or a seller with some product or services, you can be there in one seller platform and you will be visible to every buyer platform that is there in the market. And similarly, if you are a buyer in any buyer platform, you can discover any seller. So that we expect a significant amount of participation coming from different players, both on the buyer side and on the seller side, to make this possible for a broad cross-section of sellers and buyers. For example, you might have already noticed some buyer applications, including startups and existing fintechs like Paytm and PhonePe on one side, and some banks like IDFC, etc., are coming to bring their digital consumers onto the market, eventually bringing a pool of 1 billion consumers onto the market, which many sellers can take advantage of from any of the platform.
Right. Okay. But how does that entire, from a consumer perspective, as a layman, how does it work for me? How will it benefit me?
So eventually what will happen is, let's say you are a consumer, you might be using, you could be regularly using a bank application or a fintech application, anything. You are comfortable with one or two applications. That application will help you to buy a very broad cross-section of product, whether it is food, whether it is consumer goods, whether it is traveler, whether it is to hail a taxi, whether it is to book a ticket. Eventually, based on you will be able to access this diverse kind of products and services with one application which you're comfortable with. That could also mean that since these kind of flexibility is there, the extent of participation would increase. Today in the buyer side, the penetration only about 5 to 6%, and the seller side couple of percent. When such an open network comes, you would see significant enhancement in participation. Like we saw in the case of UPI, from 250 million transactions to 8 billion transactions a month, we expect significant expansion of the market, which will benefit the seller and the buyer.
Are there any major players that you're looking to pursue? You're in talks with any partnerships that you've already had?
No, we are practically reaching across everybody who has either on the buyer side who are digital consumers, and the seller side, who have a large number of merchants can be brought in. If I just give you a quick side on the buyer side, the big ones who are already there is PhonePe and Paytm and Magic Pin are big buyer applications, and many startups like Growth Falcon, My Stores, Spice Money, etc. have already come in, and they are also having diverse strategy to bring different kinds of buyers. For example, Spice Money is saying that I'm going to work for significantly on the rural customers. Each of them have their own stories. Similarly, on the seller side, we have the big players like HUL and PNG and ITC, etc. already active, and a large number of small enterprises which has been including Kanjipuram Silk Weavers and farmer producer organization through SFAC, bringing some very unique product from our difference of a country, are already there. So we are enhancing the availability or the cross-section of sellers who is there, and we are actively working with enterprises like CDB and NABARD, etc., to bring this, small and micro enterprises, and at the same time working with the large existing industrial houses like from Reliance to Tata's to HULs on one side, and also discussing with the existing platforms.
Okay. But in terms of numbers, if you could tell us what is it that you are targeting in terms of scaling up? You spoke of UPI, how it's scaled up massively over the last few years. So are there any similar targets for ONDC?
Like I was saying, it will be, if you remember, UPI started in 2016 February. April was when the finance minister inaugurated that. It took about 6-8 months to 1 year to build up certain kind of volume, and then eventually it is built up from 0 to 8 billion a day. And we are expecting, for example, if I just tell you, for a massive project, that it is not going to abracadabra moment where everything will start. It will build up. But the good thing is that we are seeing significant amount of traction. When we started the beta sort of pilot in October last year, and in the first couple of months we saw a transaction of 50 transactions a day, which is now totally among the various domains that is there, like mobility, food, retail, etc. We are seeing about 35 to 40,000 transactions a day, which is the kind of growth we saw. Similarly, the merchants, from 800 merchants to grow to some 80,000 merchants in the period of time. So we are expecting this accelerated build-up in the next couple of years, and eventually, my hope is probably in few years' time, you would see every enterprise which has a catalog of products to be made available to a broad cross-section of buyers will make their catalog visible, and diverse kind of buyer applications, including fintechs and banks and telcos, will bring their consumers to this market. And that's a transition that we are expecting in a number of years' time.
Okay, but how are you reaching out to the smallest, from the smallest to the largest retailer out there, and what is the grievance redressal mechanism there?
Two parts. Let's ask the first one. One is that we, as you said, that as probably you may know, that we are what you call network participants on the buyer side and the seller side.
Yes.
So what we do is there are as of now about 20-25 seller side network participants there. Their focus is to go and get the merchants on board. So we have diverse kind of input. They also put the team on the street, if I call feet on the street. Then we also work with large institutions like SIDBI and NABARD and Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprise, etc., to develop outreach program to reach across the smaller enterprises and give them hand-holding support. We already have a team through us and through our network participant to extend this one, and we are significantly enhancing. And the second thing that is there, you asked a very relevant question: how are you handling the consumer grievance? So you as a buyer, you don't care how it is unbundled and stitched and all of them. You say, I go to an application. Let's assume that you are two kinds of, either you may go to, let's say, Paytm or PhonePe or IDFC Bank, somebody, you're comfortable. Right. That's where vendor said, I want this product. They help to search out for you and they'll help you consummate the deal. Now let's assume that you have a problem that you want to sort it out. You don't know who the seller, you know who the seller is. For you, your interface is the buyer application. Yes. So the whole protocol provides for, just like you search for a product, a place where you can place your concerns and clarifications and grievances and so on and so forth. And that will, in the same way the order went through, this will go through the seller. And between these enterprises, digitally, they will interact and resolve this thing. And if it doesn't get resolved, it has an ability to even get kicked up to grievance handling mechanism and also an online dispute resolution mechanism. And the most important thing is that all this performance of every seller application, sellers, etc., will be continuously tracked and published for the whole world to see. So that itself will put a lot of compulsion on them, because they know that if they don't behave, they are kicked out of them. And the community also has a facility to sort of suspend or kick out enterprises who are working against the interest of the larger community.
So, the Commerce Minister recently said that ONDC has the scope of going global. Could you elaborate a little more on that?
What he was explaining, I understand, is that India had been going the path of a digital public good. If you look at UPI has been proven here, and there is a lot of international adoption happening from multiple countries. So in the same fashion, there is, the challenge of this market concentration and associated practices is a problem everywhere in the world. Not just in India, but in developed countries too. So if you look at the various markets like US and America, etc., are trying to address this through pure regulation. And India is demonstrating that we can use technology and markets to make it work. And that is why there's a lot of global attention. And we believe that once you demonstrate successfully here, there will be many of the countries in the world would be wanting to adopt that. And as we have built this as a digital public good, their ability to access that, etc., will be equally comfortable.